Tonight on KGW News, detectives renew the search for victims of a suspected serial killer. The new tool they hope will give closure to even more families. Plus, parents slapped with a $60,000 bill for a potentially life-saving medical flight for their daughter.
It would feel odd as a parent when all these doctors are telling you she's got to go by air ambulance now, to be like, nope, wait,
KGW investigates why more insurance claims like this are getting denied and how families are fighting back. And new charges just filed against the man arrested in the murder of United Healthcare's CEO. Then later, a beautiful piece of Oregon few get to see.
And it's one of those just gems of the high desert that we want to see protected now and forever.
The effort to make this a new national monument and why some are pushing back. Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Tim Gordon. We begin with an unnerving shooting in a North Portland neighborhood. A teenager was shot while he was just out walking his dogs. While he recovers, the woman accused of pulling the trigger heads to court. Alma McCarty has a look at what we've learned so far.
Friday night, Portland police took 37-year-old Natasha Mollet into custody, booking her early Saturday morning on attempted murder and assault charges. Neighbors watching from inside their homes told KGW on Monday they were surprised to learn about the details spelled out in court documents. Investigators say just after 6:30 on December 6th, Mollet allegedly followed the 17-year-old victim while he was walking his two dogs. He told detectives he thought she was asking about the dogs, but because she was being confrontational, he ignored her and kept walking. Documents describe how Mollet kept calling out to the teen to turn around before she allegedly shot at him 3 to 4 times, the bullets striking him twice in the shin. According to court documents, video shows Mollet running back to her apartment after the shooting, while the victim called for help. After initially refusing to leave, Mollet turned herself into police after 11 p.m. Officers later seized this handgun, believed to be used in the shooting, from her apartment.
The suspect had her initial appearance in court this afternoon. She's set to be indicted on all 6 charges, including attempted murder, next week. Tim, back to you.
And we're glad that teen's going to be okay. Alma, thanks a lot. Well, let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now. Detectives are hoping new technology will help solve several cold cases thought to be tied to a serial killer in Clark County. Detectives believe Warren Forrest is connected to the disappearance, kidnapping, or murder of 8 women between 1971 and 74. He's only been convicted in 2 of those cases. Inside Forrest's van, detectives recovered nearly 70 pieces of hair they believe may be tied to one of several missing persons or unsolved murder cases. That includes 20-year-old Carol Valenzuela, whose body was found near one of Forrest's victims.
Potentially those hair samples could be just people that had a legitimate reason to be with Warren Forrest. They could be completely unrelated, or they could be additional victims that we have not connected to his case yet.
Detectives are working with genetic genealogy to try and identify who the hair belonged to. The man accused of killing his estranged wife was back in Clackamas County Court this afternoon for his indictment. Michael Fournier is charged with murder. Police say he killed 61-year-old Susan Lane Fournier, who goes by the name Phoenix. She had been missing for a week. Friends in the small town of Welches on Mount Hood spent days canvassing the area, looking for her and her 2 dogs. Her body was found on Friday, November 29th. A month prior, Lane Fournier had filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. And one man has been arrested in a crash that made a mess and knocked out power in Hillsboro. Police say it happened around 11:15 last night near Southeast 5th and Oak. A black SUV hit a power pole, causing an outage. Police arrested 41-year-old Eduardo Aguilera Lazaro for driving drunk. A license plate that fell off at the scene led officers to his house. And now to an update on the shooting death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The suspect, Luigi Mangione, now faces murder charges and is in jail in Pennsylvania. A quick-thinking McDonald's employee in that state alerted authorities to a customer who was found with a gun, mask, and writings linking him to the ambush. Mangione was sitting at a table at the rear of the McDonald's wearing a blue medical mask and looking at a laptop when officers approached him. When an officer asked if he'd been to New York recently, he reportedly became quiet and started to shake. Authorities held a news conference today after Mangione was in court.
A firearm was located and a suppressor was also located. There were also other items of evidentiary value that were located that would assist in this investigation.
This killer is being hailed as a hero. Hear me on this. He is no hero. The real hero in this story is the person who called 911 at McDonald's this morning.
Investigators say they also found a handwritten document on Mangione that speaks to his motivation. A source told the Associated Press it included an apology for the trauma, but said, quote, "These parasites had it coming." Another line says Mangione acted alone. And now to a KGW investigation into an air ambulance ride for a little girl in southern Oregon. She needed emergency surgery and was airlifted from Medford up here to Portland, but that came as a surprise. Insurance refused to cover the ride, leaving her family with a $60,000 bill. Here's investigative reporter Kalaboshi.
Typically, there's no slowing down Gracelyn Guyette. So when she came into the house looking cold and pale and couldn't move her arm after taking a fall, her mom, Crystal, knew something must be seriously wrong.
I think that's what concerned me most as a mother, is your child is just kind of like listless, and her eyes seem kind of distant.
After examining an x-ray of her arm, doctors at an urgent care clinic sent Gracelyn to the nearest emergency room, Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center in Medford.
This is very severe. They're like, this is really, really bad.
Hospital records listed Gracelyn's admission type as emergent severe or life-threatening. The then 5-year-old had suffered a broken elbow at the growth plate and required emergency surgery. She needed to be airlifted immediately, the hospital explained, because no pediatric orthopedic surgeon was available locally.
Why couldn't they treat her here?
They didn't have a doctor that was insured. It was an insurance concern to operate on a 5-year-old.
Hospital staff made arrangements for an air ambulance to transport Gracelyn from Medford to Portland, a roughly 50-minute flight, avoiding icy roads and any possible delay.
It would feel odd as a parent when all these doctors are telling you she's got to go by air ambulance now, to be like, nope, wait,
Photos from February 25th, 2022 show Gracelyn being loaded into a small plane. The air ambulance, operated by Mercy Flights, flew Gracelyn and her mother to Portland, where she underwent emergency surgery at OHSU Dornbecker Children's Hospital. The procedure was effective, and soon Gracelyn returned home to southern Oregon. Then, the bill came. The insurance company, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, expected Gracelyn's family to pay the full air ambulance bill, nearly $60,000.
It's mind-boggling and it's infuriating that this can occur.
The insurer was willing to pay for the ambulance on the ground, to and from the airport, but not the airplane. According to its denial letter, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield determined that Gracelyn's air ambulance ride was not medically necessary.
There's nothing that I can possibly think of that we would have done differently in this situation, and yet, here we are.
The family appealed, as did the air ambulance provider Mercy Flights. But at every turn, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield denied their claim.
Every time we appeal, I think, okay, they got to get it right this time.
And Gracelyn's family isn't alone.
We got this $60,000 bill in the mail, and we're like, this is strange, we have insurance.
Our station in Denver, KUSA, has reported on other families facing hefty air ambulance bills after their insurance claims were denied.
$60,000, and their insurance company, Anthem, said it wouldn't pay.
You're just floored. You're like, seriously?
Earlier this year, a group of ER doctors wrote to federal health officials saying they've seen a spike in denials of claims, often involving air ambulance bills. The reason? Doctors say the No Surprises Act. The federal law intended to protect patients from unexpected medical bills. Insurers can get around the law if they determine care is not medically necessary, and insurers themselves get to decide what that means.
So there absolutely is a major problem going on that's affecting more and more families.
We emailed Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield in late November. 9 days later, a spokesperson responded, explaining, "We did not originally receive the necessary medical information to justify air transport, but after receiving more information, the claim was approved."
What's your reaction?
we're thrilled. We're very happy.
Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield wouldn't say who failed to provide the necessary medical information. Both the hospital, Asante, and the air ambulance company, Mercy Flights, declined to comment.
The appeal that we sent that they just approved was identical to what was sent before. So it was maybe a new set of eyes that looked at it. But I think certainly the pressure of having media on them is really probably what made this get approved.
Graceland's parents say the bill felt like a dark cloud hanging over their family finances. They're relieved to have things cleared up. They just wish it hadn't taken so long. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.